If you guys have watched this channel, you guys would know that I am a self-proclaimed Facebook Marketplace expert. And today I'm going to be giving you guys some of the tips that help me save some money and put some more money in my pocket when buying, selling, and trading on Facebook Marketplace. I've been doing it about 10 years or so, buying and selling cars, trucks, snow blowers, dirt bikes, lawn mowers, anything you can imagine, I've bought, sold, or traded it. It is about 1 degree outside though, so we're not working on anything today. Let's head inside where it's warm. Okay, so over the last 10 or so years, I have been buying, selling, and trading on Facebook Marketplace. This whole ordeal with Facebook Marketplace actually started with Craigslist for me. Craigslist always had some good stuff, then it kind of transferred to LetGo, then it transferred to Facebook Marketplace, and Marketplace has been my primary buy, sell, and trade platform for at least 5 or 6 years at this point. All of my buying, selling, and trading actually started with $100 in an Xbox that I traded for a dirt bike. But I don't want to bore you guys with my background. I'd rather give you a list of a few tips that I have here with some examples as well, maybe some pictures too. These are in no particular order. I just want to go through all these tips. All right, so number one is you're going to want to find somebody that has some urgency to sell. You don't want to deal with somebody that's saying just testing the waters or don't have to sell or don't like the price, move on. You'll typically get your best deal from somebody that has in their listing moving, must sell, need gone, something along those lines, or best offer. Any reasonable offer will be accepted. No reasonable offer will be refused. Quotes like that are going to be a big green flag to me when I'm looking to buy something. The second one should really be common sense, but apparently it's not in today's world. Know the issues of what you're looking at. If you're looking at something like this C5, for example, no issues of C5s. Typically have a bunch of electrical problems, battery draws, or anything of that nature. The jacking points underneath are typically missed by people that don't use the pucks, so there's cracks on most of the rocker panels. You can use that to negotiate on the price. If you're looking at something like a 99-07 Silverado or most trucks, rockers, cab corners, cross members, frame issues that have rot, things like that, you can use that to negotiate. Typically, if it's a 99-07 Silverado, when you go for a test drive, make sure to shift it wide open from first to second if it's an automatic, things of that nature. Also, don't be afraid to ask for pictures of things. For example, again, if you're looking at that same exact cat eye and somebody says typical New England rust, what does that mean? Send me pictures of cross members, the frame down by the gas tank, where you align the truck, the little pins that are on the front end. Send me pictures of the rear shackle hangers, rockers, cab corners, things of that nature. Because if there's no pictures in the ad and you drive a couple hours and somebody says that the rockers are okay and you get there and there's no rockers left, then you wasted your time. If it's right in town, go take a look, be my guest. But if you're going to be driving a couple hours, you want to know what you're looking at, and most sellers will understand that. So you have a perfect example of this too. I went to go look at a truck that was about a half hour away, and it was listed as it had new rocker panels on it. When I got there, what I saw horrified me. Somebody cut up the ceiling lights, regular shop lights that have the aluminum housing on them. Somebody cut the housings of those in half and riveted them to what was left of the inner rockers. I was almost more impressed by the ingenuity than I was disappointed by the amount of time I wasted. They looked awful. If I would have just asked for pictures of the new rocker panels, then I wouldn't have wasted the hour. This was at the beginning of my buying and selling trucks phase, so I didn't really know, but I got there and I was like, whoa. The next tip is don't be afraid to drive for something. For example, you have 2 trucks. One's 3 hours out, one's a half hour out. The one that's a half hour out needs rockers and cab corners. The one that's 3 hours out is in great shape. They're the same price, mileage, and condition. Otherwise, it's worth making the drive. And I know it sounds like another common sense tip, but the amount of times that I've seen people that I know or friends brag about buying something locally and it's an absolute trash heap in comparison to what's a few hours away, kind of disappointing. That really only applies to larger dollar things, because if you're gonna drive 3 hours for a $300 set of wheels and the same exact set of wheels is $400 in town, you might as well not make the drive for something like that. We're ditching the hat. The next tip, and I actually learned this in the car business, is round numbers aren't really your friend. And not only that, but if you're gonna lowball somebody on the value of their vehicle or anything, don't offer 50%. Offer like 55%. For example, a truck is for sale for $7,000. If you want to go buy it, don't offer $3,500. If it's worth about $4,500, offer like $3,750. The small numbers in the middle, especially the ones that end in 5s, just for some reason use a mind trick on our heads. A lot of times, if you go to the doctors, they'll make an appointment that ends in a 15 Those for our brains register as a more important number. I don't know why that works. I learned it in the car business, and for some reason it just does. And when you go to negotiate, you're going to want to negotiate with reason. For example, I went to go buy my first car ever. This was a 2009 Subaru Impreza base model 5-speed. When I got there was a couple things that were listed that were wrong with the car, and those things were accurate. There was other things that were not accurate. It needed a clock spring for the airbag, the check engine light was on for O2 sensors, one of the seats was ripped, and it had a couple other small issues. He wanted $2,800 for this car. I pitched it to him like this. Look, I'm gonna offer you this number because of these issues. It makes no difference to me whether you take it or not. Not in those exact words, but you guys get the idea. I offered him $1,450 for the car, which, mind you, if I offered him $1,400, that would be considered a low ball by most people's standard because it's half the amount and most people would be insulted by that. I offered him $1,450. He mulled it over for a little bit, didn't want to take that, and I offered him another $25 when I went to walk away on the car, and he took it. I have a bunch of examples like this where I've closed deals over $25 to $50, and this works on the buyer side and the seller side. When you go to negotiate, don't offer 50%. When you go to offer something, back it up with reasoning, and there is absolutely no use insulting them on it. Just give your reasoning. Tip number whatever we're at this point is going to be, don't be afraid to walk away from something. If you just can't get a deal done and it's too far apart, somebody wants $6,500 for a car and you don't want to pay more than $5,800 for the car, I would tell them, I understand where you're at. Looks like we just can't come to a deal. If you decide to change your mind, I'll come back with $5,500 because I have to make the drive back, or something along those lines. That number varies. That's just an example. The further you have to drive, the more money I would take off personally, every single time. But just leave a couple $100 gap typically. If you're gonna be driving an hour back, I'd want at least a few $100s for that. There is some exceptions to this. If you're just too far apart from a deal, and this kind of leads into my next tip, it's not worth insulting somebody. Arguing gets you absolutely nowhere. When it comes to a deal, you want both sides to leave feeling like they got an okay deal. You don't want to screw anybody over. It's not worth screwing people over. I believe in karma, and I believe it comes right back at you. This is just a negotiation tactic because at the end of the day, your job as a buyer is to keep the most money in your pocket, and your job as a seller is to get the most money for whatever you're selling. So that's a negotiation tactic I use when buying. When selling, I let people walk away, or I take it away if I have something else that's similar. An example of that would be if I had somebody looking at my Corvette and somebody was to insult me on the value of this car and offer me $10,000 for it. I wouldn't act insulted by that. I would tell them I have a Camaro that they could buy for $10,000. It's just about leveling with the person. There is absolutely no reason to insult somebody or argue with somebody. Next tip is you want receipts for mods. Okay, if you're buying something, you want to know exactly what's done to it. If somebody claims that a car makes 800 wheel horsepower, you want the dyno sheet. If somebody claims that it has a certain cam or a certain supercharger or a certain clutch or a certain rear end or anything along those lines, you want the receipts for what's done to the car, because otherwise, I mean, it's kind of just hearsay. I've bought many vehicles without receipts. I actually bought a turbo Silverado, if you guys remember. I posted a video on that a couple years ago. He told me he built the engine himself. He told me it had a BTR boost cam in it. He also told me it had Gen 4 rods and pistons. Okay, reasonable claim. When it blew up on me and we took it apart, there was a Texas speed cam in it, and it was all stock bottom end. Now, that's my bad, because I didn't ask for receipts and I bought it anyways because I thought it was cool and it made a lot of power and it did third gear burnouts and I was in love with the thing. And then I learned my lesson very quickly when I was putting a lot of money back into the truck. So now I'm teaching you guys based off of my mistakes. And this should really go without saying. As a buyer or a seller, it is not worth lying to somebody. I know I already said this a little while ago, but I wanted to make it a really good point that I've been lied to many times. People have lied about what's inside of an engine, lied about what's inside of a car. People have lied about mileage. I went to go look at a truck that was supposed to have 140,000 miles on it, and I got there and there was almost 240,000 miles on it. I've also been on the other end of this. When I started buying and selling at 12 years old, I learned my lesson very quickly. I had an iPod Touch that I was selling to get a hold of that $100 that I traded with the Xbox for my first dirt bike. And I did not tell anybody when it was listed on, I think it was LetGo. I didn't tell anybody that it did not have a back camera. I had it up for $200. And then I ended up taking $100 for that iPod because I felt like a piece of trash for lying to somebody when they showed up and their kid was in the car and they were buying an iPod for their kid. I was also the 12-year-old, of course, because I didn't have my license, that would tell somebody that was an hour in one direction that I was an hour in the opposite direction and meet me in the middle, which was my town. That can bite you in the ass a couple different ways, but it's just not worth lying to people. I learned after a couple times that the karma always comes back and gets you. It's not worth selling something with lies in the deal. There's a lot of time wasters out there, and you really don't want to be one of them. But just being a good person, I think, is part of buying, selling, and trading. And I've had people come back. I sold a girl 3 different dirt bikes, one for her boyfriend, and one for her dad. And they were all good bikes. And there's a reason why they came back, and I never had a problem with any of that stuff. I've also sold multiple cars to the same person or trucks to the same person. I've done that a couple times too. And especially when those people are local, it's nice that when you see them at a gas station, they walk up and they shake your hand. They're like, hey man, truck's still running great. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. And the last thing I will say, and this is typically only on the seller's side, you want to list good pictures. You want to list all the information. For example, if I was to list my Camaro up for sale, I would say 2002 Camaro, 114,000 miles. This is the cam, this is the stall converter, this is the built transmission. These are the issues with it. The dash is cracked, blah, 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 blah. Here's my location. Here's what I want for it. This price is either firm or it's or best reasonable offer. Am I accepting trades or am I not accepting trades? Am I only looking for trades? And that will dumb down the amount of stupid texts that you get. It also helps the keywords on Facebook Marketplace. If somebody's looking for a cammed Silverado and they just search Silverado, your Silverado may pop up if you just have Silverado. Now, if they search cammed Silverado with the select years of 99 to 07, you don't list the year of your vehicle, you don't list that it's cammed, then how is anybody supposed to know? You want to give everybody all the information possible so that they can message you and buy what you have for sale, and you can get what you have gone as fast as possible so that you can go buy something else, buy it, fix it, flip it, sell it, meet the connections all over the place. And don't be afraid to talk to people when you're doing all of this. Oh, hey, is this also for sale? When you're at their house for a vehicle, let's say you're buying a New Edge Mustang off of them, and they have a parts car sitting right next to it. A lot of times, they're sick of looking at it, and the price tag is very much lower than it would be if you saw it listed on Marketplace. And then the last tip is going to be make whatever you're selling presentable. If I'm going to sell a car, I'm going to take the hour before I sell the car, or even a few hours before I sell the car, and I'm going to wash it. I'm going to hit it with a coat of spray wax. I'm going to dry it. I'm going to vacuum out the interior, clean off the dash. I'm going to make it presentable. I'll throw a picture on the screen now of my Camaro dirty versus my Camaro clean, and you can see just the difference that a quick hour makes when you're just washing something, hitting it with a quick coat of spray wax, and it's at least presentable for the person that's coming to take a look. And even if they don't decide to buy it, you're still left with a clean car. So there's absolutely nothing lost in doing that. So that's going to be it for this video. I know it is not my typical video where I'm working on stuff. I will be back to that very soon, but I've been saving up some money for a big project in the spring, and I do have some parts for the Corvette that are waiting for me over there. And I also want to buy a couple other exterior transformation pieces for the Corvette too. That video will be coming as soon as I get my hands on those things. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps you. If there's anything you think I missed, drop it down below to help other people out. If there's anything you don't agree with, let me know. But I feel like this is a pretty good overall basis for anybody that's just starting to get into buying, selling, and trading on Marketplace. And most of these things go for anything you'd buy and sell and trade, whether that's a car, a truck, a dirt bike, a motorcycle, a Grom, lawnmowers, snow blowers. I bought and sold it all, and these tips mostly apply to just about everything. Just be honest and straightforward with people. Don't waste their time, and be a reasonably good negotiator, and that will put you ahead of about 90% of people on Facebook Marketplace. So best of luck buying, selling, and trading on Marketplace. I really hope this helps you out, and thank you guys for watching.